Yo, what is up guys? Delboy here, aka Blue Collar Sports TV. Hopefully you guys are doing well. If you're new here, smash that like, hit subscribe, all of that good stuff. So Florian Marku this past weekend moved to 11-0 with one draw by knocking out Chris Jenkins in the fourth round, in which was a pretty good fight to be fair. Quite enjoyable. Florian Marku had some problems early on. Chris Jenkins was boxing quite nicely, picking some good shots and catching Florian Marku, but eventually Florian Marku's power came through and he secured the stoppage. And, since then people have been speculating in regards to Florian Marku's next fight. Now, I have to say, when it comes to Florian Marku, I actually like what he brings to the sport. He brings a rabid fan base which always makes for a great atmosphere, big up to the Albanians. And in my opinion, he's got a fun style in the ring, and even outside the ring I find him quite entertaining, so I like Florian Marku. I'm not saying he's going to be the next coming of Roberto Duran. I don't think he's going to go to world level or anything like that, but he's one of those guys who's going to be in some fun fights in his career. And yeah, since this past weekend, people have been speculating in regards to his next fight. One name being mentioned by promoter Ben Shalom is the Amir Khan fight. Now, of course, Amir Khan these days is well past his best, shot to bits, 35 years old, been in several hard fights at this point in time, and obviously coming off a devastating loss to Kell Brook. So Amir Khan at any real level is done, we know that. But in regards to Florian Marku, I think this fight would still make a lot of sense. First and foremost, from the marketing perspective, like it or not, Amir Khan is still a big name in the UK and he will generate interest when he fights. It's just that simple. So if Florian Marku could get that fight just based on exposure alone, it would be big for his career, and quite frankly at this stage a very winnable fight. If we're talking Amir Khan from the Devon Alexander fight, then Florian Marku, I would advise, don't go anywhere near Amir Khan, but reality is that Amir Khan is long gone. So if they could make that fight somehow, some way, I would definitely take it. If I was Florian Marku or if I was managing him, I would take that fight. Is Amir Khan still in a point in his career where he could give Florian Marku some problems? Potentially, just based on his speed, and let's be honest, Florian Marku's defense isn't the greatest, so Khan could still be somewhat of a threat to someone like Florian Marku, who is still a novice. In all seriousness, he was a kickboxer back in the day who turned to boxing, so Amir Khan could still pose some problems for him. But, if Florian Marku is to go anywhere in the sport of boxing, he needs to be beating this version of Amir Khan. So for me, this fight makes a lot of sense, and if it were to happen, I would be all for it, quite frankly. I know I said Khan should retire after the Kell Brook fight, but honestly, a fight like this for Amir Khan at this level kind of makes sense in my opinion. But a fight I would really like to see for Florian Marku would be against Chris Congo. Now, Chris Congo is a fellow welterweight, British welterweight, and he is signed by Boxer and Sky Sports, so naturally it's an easy fight to make, and stylistically I think Florian Marku versus Chris Congo could be a really good fight. Both guys carry decent power, both guys are vulnerable in certain areas. We've seen Florian Marku get tagged up in certain fights, even in the Chris Jenkins fight. And, Chris Congo himself has been shown to be wanting in certain areas. So put those two guys together, I think it makes a lot of sense. But the problem is, Chris Congo isn't really a name. He has no name value. So despite it being a really good fight, I struggle to envisage that fight happening next for Florian Marku. If it did, I would be pleasantly surprised, but I can't really see it happening, to be honest. I think it's a really good fight. I think it's a really competitive fight. I would love to see it, but if you're moving Florian Marku, you're his promoter, you're his manager, he sells a lot of tickets. Are you going to risk him in there with a wiry, gangly puncher like Chris Congo who has no fan base? Probably not, which is unfortunate because it would be a great fight. Another fight which hasn't really been talked about but I'd love to see would be Florian Marku versus Michael McKinson, and again, Michael McKinson is with DAZN and Matchroom, but he's one of those fighters to where I don't think that DAZN and Matchroom would stand in his way if he got an offer to fight someone like Florian Marku. Reality is, Michael McKinson isn't a big ticket seller. He's not exactly a household name, so if you get an offer from a rival promoter to fight Michael McKinson, you're more than likely going to accept it, because if your guy wins, then he's going to come back a bigger star. Much like Chris Congo though, Michael McKinson doesn't exactly have a big fan base. He's got more notoriety than Chris Congo, but not a big fan base, and again, his style is extremely awkward and extremely hard to look good against, so they might see Michael McKinson as too much of a risk. But in all seriousness, I understand the Amir Khan fight. If it were to happen, I wouldn't mind seeing it, but I'd rather see Florian Marku fight somebody along the lines of a Chris Congo, maybe a Michael McKinson, even somebody like Samuel Antwi, who's a really fun fighter at area level, English level. I think that'll be a good fight for Florian Marku. But yeah, I mean, there's no need to rush Florian. He's still very inexperienced. Again, he's coming over from kickboxing, so they can't push him too fast, but at the same time, I want to see him in there with an interesting opponent, you know? But yeah, I'm excited by Florian Marku. I've really been enjoying this guy's career. When he first came on the scene, I'll be honest, I wasn't a big fan, but he's won me over. I do like the way he talks. I like his style. I like his aura. I just find the guy very entertaining. Again, I've made this comparison. To me, Florian Marku, he's very in your face, but it comes across very genuine. The way I put it is this: he's basically the guy that Alan Babic is trying to be. When it comes to Alan Babic, I just see a gimmick, whereas Florian Marku, I see a guy who genuinely believes what he says, and I find that entertaining. Again, I don't think the guy is going to go all of the way at all. Maybe he could get to European level, maybe, but that's his limit in my opinion. But regardless, I find him very entertaining. Anyway, share your thoughts below. Who do you want to see Florian Marku fight next realistically? Drop some names in the comments and tell me who you want to see him fight. Peace.